Assalamualaikum and a very good day. My name is Alifa binti Abdul Aziz. I am the co-writer and co-editor for Awal English Activity Book and Awal English Workbook. This video is a teaching guide on how to use Awal English Activity Book and Awal English Workbook and how to use it and make it suitable for the usage of classroom learning and home learning. In this segment, I will explain the concept and features of both books, the activity book and the workbook. As you can see here, we have published activity book for 4, 5 and 6 years old as well as workbook for each age group. So there are 2 books for 4 years old, 5 years old and 6 years old. These books are designed to cater for a few learning focus. The first learning focus is to develop children's fine motor skills and hand-eye coordination through pencil activities. This focus is also aimed towards building children's writing skills, which also consists of pre-writing skills. We have outlined the activities according to this sequence. The children will start with a scribbling activity, whereby they will begin by making random scribble and then followed by scribbling patterns such as continuous lines, zigzag pattern and wavy patterns. So this is the example from our book. The first part, the children will have a blank canvas whereby they can scribble anything they want according to their creativity. And then they start off with continuous lines, followed by zigzag pattern, wavy patterns, and so on. So various media such as crayon, color pencil, marker pens can be used to do these activities. This particular activity helps the children to build and develop fluent and relaxed movement. The second activity is coloring. In coloring, children will begin by shading using different colors. At this point, teacher or parents shall guide the children to color horizontal, vertical and slanted lines and also to color within the boundaries given. In this book, the coloring activity always starts with images such as large shapes and then followed by images with increasing complexity. The activities are arranged according to the difficulty level. We start off with something very simple that allows more freedom for the children to color and move on to a more structured activity with higher level of difficulty. Let me show you the example from our book sample pages. So for coloring activity, they start off with this large image of a house and then move on to a smaller images. And then for this activity, they need to color according to the shape and the correct color. And for this one, they need to color according to the number given. So you can see the gradual shift of complexity in our activity. The third activity is channeling, which involves the children to draw a line between 2 boundaries. The boundaries serve as a guide that the children must follow. In the book, we arrange the borders from wide to narrow and then also from straight lines to zigzag lines. So there is a gradual increase in the difficulty as you can see here in the sample pages of our activity book. The fourth activity is tracing, or famously known as joining the dots. Children need to join lines between adjacent points. For tracing activities in this book, we start off with something simple like tracing straight lines and then followed by more complex lines, as you can see here in the example. The fifth and last activity is copying, which is basically writing or drawing the given alphabet and pattern. In the books, we always start off with exercises like copying simple strokes like horizontal line, vertical line, slanted line, and evolve to shapes like circle, triangle, and square. Then they will start copying and complete pictures. Then they begin to copy alphabets. So these are the example from our activity book. First, they start off with something simple, circle lines, triangle, square, and then they need to copy images or shapes. So these 5 activities are included in the book according to its sequence from easy to difficult, which suits the children's age. By doing all these pencil activities, children's pre-writing and writing skills can be developed. The second learning focus that we would like to address is alphabet knowledge and recognition, or the knowledge of letter and sounds. A great emphasis is given towards introducing alphabets to the children according to its sequence. The aim is for the children to be able to recognize letters of the alphabet by their shape and by their name. Also, they must be able to sound out letters of the alphabet, sound out initial, medial, and ending sound in a word, as well as to be able to blend phonemes or sound to form single syllable words. All these are done towards reaching the goal, which is to be able to read. As you can see in this content pages of our 5 years old activity book and workbook, the sequence is followed according to the alphabets from A to Z. And in order to instill the knowledge of each alphabet, various pencil activities are introduced, starting with coloring, channeling, tracing, and lastly, copying. So you can see here how we arrange the content of every unit. There is a specific alphabets that we focus on. For example, the first one, we're starting with pre-writing activities. And then we start off with alphabets A to D. This is from the activity book. This is from the workbook. So for activity book, A to D. For workbook as well, we focus A to D. And then up until the last alphabet, which is Z. The third learning focus that we want to highlight is higher order thinking skills, or HOTS. Various HOTS questions can be found throughout the books that will certainly promote creative thinking among children. These questions are mostly introduced during games like Maze, Hidden Picture, Find the Object, Find the Word, and many more. It encourages the children to develop their higher order thinking skills when they are doing fun activities. You can see here on these sample pages of our activity book, the first thing that they need to do is to find 2 words each for cat, dad, and van. We also included a HOTS questions here, whereby the children need to tell a story based on this picture, based on their creativity. And another HOTS questions here that we ask is, why are fruits good for you? As you can see, the setting here is in a candy store, and too much candy is of course not good for the children. So we come up with the questions. Instead of eating candy, then they should tell the teacher, why are fruits good for you? What benefits does fruit give to them? The fourth learning focus is to instill fun in the learning process. So what we did with the book is that we incorporate storytelling, songs, and games in the activity book and workbook so that the learning process becomes more enjoyable. As for the songs, interactive videos can be accessed through QR code given in the book. This is the example of QR code that can be found in our book. So parents and teachers can easily scan the QR code, and it will direct to the video that you can show to the children and of course sing with them. So if you scan this code, you'll get a video. So these are the 4 learning focus that we would like to highlight through the usage of our English activity book and workbook. In order to make it easier for the teacher to plan the lesson, we have included the learning standard and content standard from the latest revised edition of the National Preschool Curriculum, also known as KSPK. For all the activity, the specific learning standard can be found on the foot page of every page. As you can see here on this page example, on the footnote of this page, you can find the learning standard that we would like the children to achieve. In our books, we have included teaching guide at the beginning of the pages of the book for the teacher to use as a reference. As you can see here, this is a teacher's guide for 5 years old activity book. We have outlined according to every unit what are the things that we want the children to do. For example, the first unit will focus on pre-writing activities. And then the second unit, the children will focus on alphabets A to D. So in the unit, they will have to color, channel, and trace alphabets A to D. They will have to do a fun activity, a game where they have to find the alphabets and recognize the things in the bedroom. And then to finish off the unit, there is a HOTS questions that we want to tell the children, and we want feedback from the children. So these units are arranged in sequence to the alphabets. This is for 5 years old activity book, and this is for 6 years old activity book. So teachers, please use this teacher's guide as a reference for you to understand the content of the books better and for you to plan the lesson. So now that I've explained the concepts and features of Awal English Activity Book and Workbook, let's move on to the teaching guide for both activity and workbook on how you can use it in the classroom or at home. I'll see you in the next video.